in the bin. Well, that's our summary. I'll be back in around 10 minutes with the latest headlines after Asia Today.
A very warm welcome to Asia Today. My name is Mike Embley. In this program, the Afghan president announces his new cabinet, sidelining some former militia leaders, promoting technocrats. Illegal migrant workers flee Malaysia. The government is threatening a major crackdown in the new year. Hello to you. The Afghan President Hamid Karzai has announced his new cabinet. He's replaced the Defence Minister Mohammad Fahim, a former Mujahideen commander, and left out two of his main rivals for the presidency. He's also replaced the Finance Minister, but left the Foreign and Interior Ministers in their posts.
2 months after his election, President Hamid Karzai finally put an end to the speculation as to how far he would go in shaking up his cabinet. The key post of Defence Minister, in charge of the military and the most potent symbol of the country's fragile unity, goes to Rahim Wardak, a former guerrilla fighter against the Russians who received military training in the United States. He replaces Mohammad Fahim, the prominent Tajik commander whose Northern Alliance forces helped drive the Taliban from power 3 years ago. Dropping the influential Fahim is seen as part of the president's desire to replace warlords with a more balanced team of technocrats, and for the first time, 3 women. One of these is Masouda Jalal, who stood against Hamid Karzai in the presidential elections, the only woman to do so. A 41-year-old paediatrician from a family of professionals, she represents the new face of Afghan politics, with which the new government hopes to bring stability and reassure its Western backers. During her election campaign, she described poverty as the scourge of the people and the main cause of sickness. Now, some of her promises will be put to the test. So the real challenge for the new government is to meet the expectations of the long-suffering voters.
These people are acceptable to all Afghans, not just to me. I wish them success in their jobs, but we Afghans expect them to try their best to rebuild this damaged country.
25 years after the Soviet invasion plunged them into almost perpetual conflict, most of those who profited from their suffering have lost power. The voters can only hope that the changing of the guard will bring in better times for all. Jim Fish, BBC News.
The United Nations Secretary-General Kofi Annan has urged an immediate end to the escalating violence in Nepal. The army says at least 20 rebels and 5 soldiers were killed there in clashes on Thursday. As the violence escalated, rebels were halting almost all traffic in and out of the capital, Kathmandu. The Maoists have threatened drivers using most main roads in protest at the alleged disappearance of rebels held by the army. An Indonesian military helicopter has crashed, killing at least 13 people. The aircraft, a Super Puma, came down in the mountains of central Java in bad weather. All the dead were Air Force personnel. On Wednesday, several people died when an Indonesian naval helicopter crashed into a river. Malaysia is threatening a campaign against illegal migrant workers in the new year. Workers from countries including India, Bangladesh, China and Indonesia have only a few days left to take advantage of an amnesty before the government begins rounding up and deporting them. It says it will send the civil guard onto the streets to hunt the workers down. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Kylie Morris has this special report from Kuala Lumpur.
Here in Malaysia, there are thought to be more than 1 million illegal workers, a situation the government now describes as a national emergency. It says if the workers don't leave by the end of the month, they'll face a crackdown. And it's empowered more than 500